And welcome back to Let's Play Super Smash Bros. Melee with your host, MARTH Roy. In the last episode, we did some extra stuff in Trophy Mode. I went over the specific trophies and how to get them for some of the harder ones to get, or you can't just get from the lottery. And in this episode, we are going to start Versus Mode, finally. So, we have 5 different options here. We have Melee, Tournament Melee, Special Melee, Custom Rules, and Name Entry. I'm actually going to start from the bottom and work my way up, because that seems to be the easiest choice. Or at least we're going to start with Name Entry, because that's the easiest one to explain, so we're just going to go ahead and get it out of the way. So basically, you have New, List, and Erase. You can list the names in alphabetical order, erase a name, or enter a name. So you just put in a name that you want, and then set it in. You don't have to use the English ones, though. If you go over here, you can actually switch it to Japanese, hiragana, or katakana. I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. The bomb will erase a letter, and then random will just make a random name appear. Geek, Arch, Mosh, Zoe, Jazz, Rod8, Odin, Slim, Bomb, Zzz, Gut, Tom with 2 M's. Hey, ugh! I'm really surprised that actually showed up. We're not going to confirm that name, though. We're just going to back up. And then you can see mine right there. So, yeah. It's actually really straightforward. There's only 4 letters that you can put in there, or a set of letters and numbers. In Brawl, they changed it to 5, so that's pretty cool. And you couldn't enter your name at all in Versus Mode in the original game, so you got 4 letters to work with. So you may just want to make up your own things if your name is 5 letters or more, like mine. Okay, so here we have custom rules. You can change, in Melee, you can change the rules by going to a specific spot, but if you always want to start with the same thing until you reset your game or turn it off and back on, you can switch it here. So you've got the rules. You can switch between time, which is just timed battle, and you compete for points based on KOs and falls. Stock, which is just be the last one standing. Once you run out of stock, you lose. Coin, which is timed match, and you hit your opponents to get coins. I'll be going over all these. I'm just kind of going over the basics here. And whoever gets the most coins wins. Or bonus. This is probably one of the ones that's not ever used, but it's actually a really cool idea. You compete for points based on the bonuses you get at the end of the game. So it's actually really cool that they do that. I'm just going to put it on stock 3. The stock you can change, or the time you can change. You can actually make the stock up to 99. You can make the time actually endless, so you can just hit none. Now we have the handicaps, which you can turn them off, auto, on, any of those. Basically, if you set the handicaps on, you can, just to on, you can set them up yourself depending on how good or bad a player is. Players that are better are going to have handicaps, so they have a little bit of a disadvantage, so they can be on even ground. And then for auto, this just sets them based on how many times you win. So if player 1 keeps beating player 2 over and over, they're going to start with a higher damage percentage. That's what handicap usually does. Damage ratio. This is basically, I've already talked about this a little bit. The larger the damage ratio, the easier it is to get kills, because it just does a lot more flying damage, etc. So it's normally 1.0. You can set it to 0.5 at the least and 2.0 at the most. Then we have stage selection. This is either on, random, ordered, turns, loser, and that's it. Okay, so on, you can just choose the stages that you want. Random, it'll choose the stage for you randomly. Ordered, which is you'll go through the stages in a predetermined order. Turns, which is the players take turns choosing the stages. This might not be a bad one if you're doing a lot of multiplayer. Or the loser of the last match gets to choose the next stage. And then we got item switch. This can change how many items can be on. You can just hit A on whatever item you want to turn it on or off. And then if you go up here, you can set the items to appear a lot with very high, high, medium, low, very low, or none. So any of those will work. And you can just kind of, set up whatever you want that to be there. And then additional rules, which we have the stock match time limit. So if you do a stock match, you can set a time limit if it takes too long. Friendly fire. This basically means team members can or cannot damage each other, which a lot of people actually like having this on. Pause, which is can you pause in the middle of the game or not. A lot of people have on, usually set there. The score display, which is you can have the score displayed on the screen or not. How much the self-destructs will subtract from your score. Maybe they won't affect it, maybe it'll count for 2, maybe it'll only count for 1. I usually keep it on 1. And then you have to unlock this, but you can get the random stage, which is the stage. If the stage selection is set at random, players will be able to choose what stages to exclude. So all I had on was Flat Zone, but I'm going to put on all the other ones that I had on for a while. Let's see. Not putting on Temple. I hate that stage. Great Bay, obviously. Fountain of Dreams, Corneria. Yeah, I think that'll do it for now. So that's the custom rule stuff. So now we got our actual 3 types of modes here, which is regular, melee, tournament, and special. We're actually going to start with melee first, just going over the basics here. I know I haven't actually done any fights or anything, but you choose your character by moving the icon on whatever you want and then hitting A. And why? I didn't turn the handicap on. You can also, those rules that we saw earlier, you can go up to here where it's got whatever kind of survival. You can go up there and change it from there. And I don't want the handicap on. I want it off. And I want the stage selection to be on. My controller is really sensitive, so that's probably why that happened. So that's how you choose the human players. If you want a CPU player, where it's got NA for not available, you can just hit A, and that will give you your CPU. You can also turn on the human players like that, and then switch to CPU, and then turn it back off. And choosing your character. If you've got all the characters, if you choose this spot right here, to the left of Peach or to the right of Roy, it'll actually assign a character at random. Like that. Because I'm not getting the same characters, obviously, so it can assign randomly. And if you want to do that, since there is no random button, that's how you do that. Okay, so this would be a standard melee if I just had, let's say, 3 people right here. If you go up here to where it's got melee versus, you can actually switch it to team battle, and you'll be able to choose from 3 team colors, either red, blue, or green. And then this goes into the friendly fire stuff, so if I did this right now, Valken and Zelda would not be able to damage each other. So you can set it to however you want to face them against. You can make the CPUs really strong, really weak, you know, that's up to you. So after you choose your characters, I'm just going to make it level 4, because I haven't warmed up at all, so. After that, you can choose your stage, any of these stages that you've unlocked, or you can use the random button, whatever works for you. And then the match will start, however you set it up. So now we're going to go over, I guess, just tips on stuff that you can do that'll make this easier, because there's something I really want to go over, and that is spiking. Because a lot of people have heard about spiking, but they don't know how to do it. So actually I'm going to set the stock to 3. Go back to Final Destination. Now spiking basically is stopping your opponent halfway through the recovery by sending them straight down and killing them. So what you got to do is build up their damage a pretty good amount. Like that. And send them straight down. Sometimes you got to be facing away from them when you use the down attack. Sometimes you got to be facing towards them. That might only be in Brawl, but it does take a lot of practice to actually do it. Let's see if I can pull it off again here. Like that. Fortunately, I didn't recover very well. Sometimes it'll end up costing you a life, but sometimes it might also be worth it. There we go, like that. That's how you spike. It does take a lot of practice, and I'd recommend picking like 3 characters that you can do it with pretty well. Another thing you need to learn, this one is vital because people will do it all the time to you. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a new match for that one. I'm going to pick a character that has an up B recovery, but it's not a damaging one. So Mewtwo, that'll work. Another thing you need to learn how to do in this game, if you're going to annoy people, is ledge guard, because it's probably one of the more annoying things that can happen during a match. A lot of people frown upon it because it is cheap, and I don't usually use it, but this is going over technique, so that's why. Mewtwo's got a really good second jump, so go figure. So like that. That's how you ledge guard. Now the trick is if somebody's got an up B move that can be damaging to you, they can actually hit you and make you fall down, and then they can grab the ledge. So you have to time it really carefully. That's why I don't use ledge guarding. I'll use spiking a little bit, but I won't use ledge guarding at all. I'll only use spiking if it's a CPU, an enemy CPU. I don't do it against human players. So that's cheap. Or it can be cheap if you're really good at it. Let's see, what else do I want to go over? I could go over all the characters, I suppose, just kind of their basic moveset or strategies to have for each one. Just make it a one-man survival test here. And then I'll go over all the modes. Alright, Dr. Mario and Mario are going to be pretty much the same thing. The only difference is Dr. Mario is going to be stronger than Mario is. So I'm not going to go over Mario. I'll just go over Dr. Mario's and say it's the same thing. Really good tricks for him is abuse his down smash because it's really fast. His side smash does have a little bit of work to be had on it because sometimes if you're close enough, it can just miss altogether. Since Bowser's a bigger character, that probably wouldn't happen. If somebody's trying to recover, use projectiles, which is Mega Vitamins on them. His backward throw it has a pretty good launch rate, so I'd recommend using that. And other than that, I don't really have much for Dr. Mario, so abuse his throws and his down smash. Those are probably his best moves. I don't use Dr. Mario enough to know a lot of good strategies for him. Luigi, yeah, let's go ahead and show off Luigi. Because there's something everybody needs to know about Luigi. And that's the fact that his up B, it's good if you can get the attack to pull off, but his recovery, it stinks. Which is why, if you get knocked off the side, just jump over here really quickly. If you get knocked off the side, use your side B and recover like that. And then use your up B if you really need to for height only, because you're not going to get any horizontal distance with his up B at all. You get a little bit with Mario's and Dr. Mario's, but you get none with him. So use that to your advantage. All of his smash attacks are pretty good, so. He's a little bit of a lighter weight character, so that's probably one reason that it might be a little bit more difficult for beginner players with Luigi than it would be for Mario. Since I don't use heavyweights much, I can't say much about Bowser. I'd say abuse his really powerful moves in good situations, like if you get a whole bunch of people fighting, use his down B, and then just smash into them like that. His up smash is pretty strong. His down smash is good for getting opponents up into the air to do another move on them. His side smash is pretty good, but you need to be careful not to get hit before it actually gets, you actually use it, because if you get hit before then, you're just going to be vulnerable for a couple of hits. Peach actually has a lot of really good strategies. Because she can float, you can have a lot of strategies in the air, where you can just do this. Her smash attacks are pretty good, overall. Her down smash is not very good, so I'd try to avoid that one. Her side B is extremely helpful, if you're just a little bit out of the way. It's got better range in Brawl, but oh well. It's weaker in Brawl too, so go figure. Her turnip power, if you use down B and you can get a turnip. If you keep doing it for a little while, you'll notice you'll get different kinds of turnips, but you can actually pull up other items too, like a beam sword. It's very rare, but you can actually get other stuff from it, so if you put on where there's no items, you could still technically get an item with Peach, if you got the beam sword. As for Yoshi, if you're fighting a bigger character like DK or Bowser or Ganondorf, any character that's got, it's pretty easy to hit them overall. I might use down A on them while you're in the air. His up smash is pretty helpful because it's actually got a bigger range than it appears to. Down B is really helpful. A lot of people like to use, no, not that move. Like to get really good with his up throw and all the different ranges it can have. Egg roll's a little bit risky because you can still go off the side with it. Just, roll right off. Other than that, really not much about Yoshi. I'm just giving basic strategies. The only advanced strategies I know are for Marth, Roy, Link, and Young Link. As for DK, you just kind of have to use his power. He doesn't really have too much on hand. His down B is kind of useful, but also people can just, whenever they're going up into the air, they can just come down on top of you and attack you, so. Honestly, DK probably fights a little bit better while opponents are in the air as opposed to on the ground, but other than that, I don't really know much for DK either. Not Valko, Valken. Jeez, can you not read? As for Valken, a lot of moves revolve around his combos, like using a Raptor Boost to knock them up into the air, and then using the power of the knee. You can also, yeah, you can use Raptor Boost in the air and then get down there and then just combo them again. And yes, I killed myself, but I don't care. But just kind of rely on Valken's speed more than anything. That's why he fights better against slower characters anyway. As for Ganondorf, oh jeez, I hate Ganondorf. He's just basically Valken except slower. I'd say never use the Warlock Punch unless you really just think you can actually hit somebody with it, but that's not very common, so you probably don't want to try that. I'd recommend Wizard's Foot. That'll probably be his fastest attack, which is his down B. As for Falco, he's kind of a clone of Fox, not so much in Brawl, but in this game he kind of is. You might just want to use this at a range because it does minimal damage, but it does stun. And since Bowser's being stupid, not really doing anything, you can just, you know, keep doing this over and over. He does rely a little bit on speed, a little more on power than Fox would. Fox is more of his relying on speed than Valko is. But Valko relies a lot on combos, so a lot of combos the CPUs will use is their down B, or they'll grab the character like this and then throw them down and immediately use the reflector. And the cool thing about Valko's reflectors, if you hit somebody with it, it'll knock them straight up into the air. Death. Yes, I killed myself on purpose. The reflectors has a lot of good strategies, though, because, you know, if somebody throws an item at you, you can just reflect it right back. Let's see. I usually don't use their side B very much. Side B can just go, you can just go right off the edge with it and not be able to recover, so. Now with Fox's reflector, it actually pushes them sideways instead of straight up. Like so. And then Fox's gun also doesn't stun them, but it does rack up damage pretty quickly, so if they're a little bit farther away, you might want to hit them a few times. It might do a little bit of damage to them. Or while they're recovering, it won't prevent them from recovering, but it will do damage for another hit that you might be able to give to them later. All of Fox's smashes are really good. Valko's, most of them are pretty good. Okay, Ness. As for Ness, he doesn't really work that well in one-on-one fights. He's kind of designed for group fights. If you're going to fight people in a one-on-one fight, I'd use PK Fire, and that'll kind of stun them, and then you can do something like throw them. For his smashes, his up smash and down smashes are not very good. His side smash is pretty good, though. But if you're going to fight multiple people at once, you might want to use stay away from them and use PK Flash on them, which is his standard B, and just put it over to where they are and then have it explode in their face while they're fighting somebody else. That tends to work pretty well. So Ness isn't really designed for one-on-one fights. You can also use the PK Thunder on yourself instead of as a recovery, just as a general attack. And then just run into a big crowd. As for the Ice Climbers, nobody ever uses the Ice Climbers, but really the only advantage they have is the fact that there is two of them, so it makes it a little bit easier to like combo them because it only takes one Ice Climber to actually grab them. And their smash attacks do a little bit more damage because it's two hammers hitting them. Watch Bowser's damage percentage right here. See how it was 188 and then it went from 188 to 205 really quickly? So there is two of them, but you know, if you lose one, then it's going to be a lot harder for your strategies. Using side B in a big group might be handy to do a lot of damage really quickly. I don't like using Kirby, but something you'll notice every CPU Kirby does is they'll immediately try to copy your ability and then, you know, use it eventually. As for Kirby, just remember he's got a lot of really cheap moves, which is why a lot of people use him during brawl matches online. He has up B and down B. Even his side B is somewhat cheap. But a lot of his throws, if you grab them and go off the stage with them, if Bowser would get over here, you can just go off the stage with them like that. But yeah, Kirby's not one of my favorite characters at all. As for Samus, Fox would be Samus's worst enemy in this game because she's got so many projectiles. She's got missiles. She has super missiles and Brawl as well. She's got a regular shot, a charge shot, but bomb. She's got a lot of different stuff. But a lot of people like to kind of stay away from their opponent for a little bit and then get their charge shot ready. Because if you lose the charge shot while somebody attacks you, you got to redo the whole thing. And then just fire it from a distance and hit them like that. Especially in the first game, CPUs are really bad about doing that if it's the CPU Samus. But oh well. She's really a good character to spike with. To get spiking attacks with. It's really easy for her, so might be something to consider. As for Zelda, of the two, Zelda and Sheik, she's kind of more power, which is kind of strange, I know. But if you can hit at the right time with her aerial A, side aerial A, you can actually do a lot of damage with it. And apparently Bowser got killed by the R-Wing right there. As for Sheik, Zelda can also use Dense Fire. That might be helpful for ranged attack. I'm gonna go ahead and use her again so I can show off Sheik's moveset here. But Dense Fire is pretty helpful from a range, because you can angle it pretty easily, so that's not a problem really. You can use Fori's Wind, or not Fori's Wind, Nayru's Love, and that works for reflecting projectiles, and it also does a pretty good amount of damage if you're close to the unit. Not unit, what am I talking about? I'm not playing Fire Emblem here. She's got pretty good recovery, so yeah. Transforming into Sheik. Sheik's more of a speed character. She's got a lot of good smashes. Really, Sheik doesn't have a bad smash tag. You gotta keep in mind though, her side smash is 2 hits in one, so it might be easier to just wait for the second one. You can hold down B and then instead of just throwing one needle, you can throw it out multiple ones. She's got a whip, which is kind of hard for me to control in this game, and that crate's probably going to kill Bowser, yep. But her whip is helpful as well, but I wouldn't recommend using the whip if you're just starting out using Sheik. Let's see. Link. I know a lot of Link strategies because Brandman used to use them on me all the time. Good strategies for Link is abuse the boomerang. It may not seem like it's that good of a weapon, but it actually really is. Boomerang's a really good weapon. It's probably his best projectile. Bow and arrow's not really that helpful unless somebody's trying to recover and then you can shoot them to do damage. But boomerang's a lot more helpful. Bombs just, they can mess you up, really. Sometimes they can actually save you because you'll hold down a bomb and you forget it's about to explode, and right as you fall off after you used your up B, it'll explode, so you can use your up B again, and that's actually really helpful. And down A is a really good killing move. If somebody's got 100% or more, you can probably kill them with it. We have young Link. The only difference from Link is, besides the fire arrows, I suppose, is the fact that he has a lot better jumping and recovery, but he's also lighter, so he can get knocked back farther. I actually think Young Link's better. There is a little bit of a difference with Young Link. If somebody jumps up into the stabbing move, it'll actually do a fire stab and send them straight down. But Lynx doesn't have that. Very rarely will you see the fire stab actually activate, though. As for Pichu and Pikachu both, I'm not going to show Pikachu because they're essentially somewhat clones. A lot of people abuse the Thunder move, so they'll hit you up in the air and use Thunder and kill you. Or throw you up into the air. Other than that, just kind of abuse their speed. Kind of like Luigi, their up B isn't as good as their side B. Which is why a lot of people prefer to use side B. Side B will do a lot of damage too, like Luigi's. Pichu and Pikachu both have Skull Bash for their side B. As for Jigglypuff, nobody ever uses Jigglypuff, but except for Event 51. That actually worked quite well. If you're going to use rest, you're going to have to probably use it on a bigger character like Bowser or DK, because once again, it's kind of harder to hit the smaller characters. Just abuse her jumping ability, I suppose, because she has a pretty good recovery. Let's see, Mewtwo. Mewtwo actually has a lot of good combos. Since he's got a good throw, it's easy to kind of just mess with your opponent. You can use Disable, which is his down B, to kind of stun them for a second, and you can charge up a smash attack. But you got to be pretty quick about it. Use Shadow Ball, you can use side B to kind of mess them up as well. I'd say his down smash is probably his best one, and his up smash is probably his worst. You just gotta be careful when charging Shadow Ball, because if you just charge it off the side, you can actually die because you'll just go right off the side while charging it. A lot of CPUs make that mistake. I don't know why they do, but they do a lot. The Mewtwo's neutral A, which has that little electric field go around, and that one's pretty helpful, and most of the time it's going to go first because it's a pretty fast attack. Okay, that's for Mr. Game & Watch. Abuse the power of the 9! No, Game & Watch, you can do this. But in all honesty, Game & Watch has a lot of good comboing moves if he can get them up into the air. Otherwise, he doesn't really have a lot of good comboing moves. You can use Judge, which can get either really good or really bad. Just depends on your luck. His down smash and up smash are pretty good. His side smash has a fire damage attack on it. So really, his smash attacks are pretty good too. His down A in the air is pretty good, the key. And his throws are pretty good, so the problem with him is he's so lightweight that he can get killed at 50% damage or less sometimes. As for Marth, I've got a whole bunch of strategies for him, because obviously he's my main character. Whenever I'm first starting the match, I always abuse the Dancing Blade. It's a little bit hard to time, but basically I'm hitting side B like this. I'm holding side and hitting B, 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 B. So you can't just tap them all at once like you can in Brawl, because sometimes it won't go all the way through. It'll just have the first two activate. But what's really interesting is once you start the combo, you can actually change it up. You notice that I'm not always doing the same attack. Like whenever I use the down one, it has those small hits at the end, and this one doesn't have that. Sometimes I like to use start charging my neutral B in the air so I can get a little bit of a head start on it. Keep in mind the tip of Marth's sword has the most damage on it, so if you're going to attack, try to attack with the tip of the sword because it'll do more damage than if it was in the middle of the sword. Let's see what else with Marth. I'm going to actually fight with him again so I can see what else there is. His throws aren't very good, so I would try to stay away from them, but it would catch your opponent off guard probably because you wouldn't be using them that often. So use them, just not very often, like you would with Mario or Dr. Mario. Keep in mind, Marth has no projectile, so that's kind of a disadvantage that he has. You can use his counter ability to counter a lot of attacks. You can also counter some projectiles. Forget what it tells you about you can't counter explosives in the Brawl hand guide. You can. I've countered bombs a whole bunch of times. But counter is a little bit difficult to use in this game, so you're going to want to practice with it. In Brawl, it's a lot easier to use Marth's counter. In this one, you have to time it a little bit earlier than you would in Brawl. As for Roy, he functions the same way, except the tip of Roy's sword actually doesn't do the most damage, it's just the regular part of it. And also, if you can get a fully charged B on somebody, which I probably won't here, but if you can, it will do an instant kill no matter what their damage percent is. Even if they're at 0%, it would still be an instant kill. It will do 10% damage to him, though, if you charge it up all the way, if you fully charge it. Other than that, the strategies for him are generally about the same, because he is a clone of Marth, which is kind of sad, but oh well. Alright guys, we're at 36 minutes, so that is enough of this video. So next time on Let's Play Super Smash Bros. Melee, I am going to go into, I guess, Tournament Melee and Special Melee. There's, like I said, I'm going to show off all the matches for Melee as well. Hopefully we'll get that all done in one video, but I know this was more of a general strategies, and for advanced players, this probably wasn't much help to you, or even intermediate players probably wasn't, but for anybody that just started out with versus mode, or just started out with a game, this is probably a pretty helpful video to you. So, see you guys later.